too short. Nope, there it is. And I've already caught 3 really nice, actually last one I caught 2 nice grayling here on this exactly the same streamer that I've been fishing the whole trip. And it's this, actually all those I caught on this exact same fly, and it's starting to look like that as well. Okay, so this is the second in my series of my favorite 5 fly patterns. And well, the first one was a dry fly caddis pattern. This is going to be my go-to small streamer pattern. I like these kind of small streamers because I can fish them on light tackle. Basically, I can fish them on at the end of a nymphing rig, for instance, and also these are not too heavy, so I can also fish them in lakes and cast them quite far without having the problem of the fly being too heavy. It's small, but it still imitates a small fish, and it's proven to be very, very effective in rivers. So what I'm using for this is craft fur, and there is this kind of natural color available which I use, and this is actually a little bit difficult to find, so whenever you find this, make sure to buy. And the principle here that I'm showing you today, you can also use for other kinds of material, for instance tinsel or some kind of ripple ice fibers and stuff like that if you want to, and it's exactly the same principle you tie with as with these materials, and so I usually have a couple of these ones tied with gold or silver tinsel or the ripple ice. So for this one I'm just going to be using a standard jig hook in a slightly bigger size. I think this is maybe a 10 or 8 probably. I want it to be a little bit heavier because potentially you can catch a lot bigger fish with these as well, so they need to hold for those. And I'm using a fairly small bead on this one. I think it might be 2.5 or 2.2 millimeters slotted tungsten bead, again because I don't want this to be too heavy, so that it can be fished on light tackle. And as I mentioned in the earliest video, it's important for these flies to be durable, so I'm going to show you how this fly can be made very durable. So usually what happens is that when you fish these kinds of flies, that the bead and everything starts gliding backwards, and we don't want that to happen. So what I use is that I start with a layer of thread on the shank, and then I use a little bit super glue on the thread, something like that, and then I use lead wire, and I start by holding the end of the lead wire with my fingers, and then I start going forward until I can feel that it's firmly pushing against the bead. So this will ensure that the lead has a good base of thread to adhere to with the super glue, and it's tightly pushing against the bead. So this is very firm now, and once you finish this off just behind the bead, you're gonna get a very, very durable fly. So I'll start off with the tail. So you'll just have to cut a piece of a bunch of fibers from this craft fur. Doesn't have to be much. You don't want to overdress these flies. It will be it's enough with a little, and it will be very, very lively in the water, especially in streams and rivers. So I just tie this in approximately to where the lead starts, and here's another trick. So one of the problems with flies like this is that this tail can easily get tucked inside the hook, and it doesn't look natural anymore. So what I do is that I'll put my tying thread 3 times around this tail, and it will actually help quite a lot in preventing that problem. Then I'll just make a loop and put my thread just behind the bead. And what's nice with this is that you can see that I'm cutting in quite long and thin strips. That means that the fibers are already kind of spread out when you're threading these inside the dubbing loop. So basically you're getting something like this if you do it properly. And this now is quite easy to get inside the dubbing loop. And you want to have about 5 millimeters of the end sticking out, and that's usually enough. This will also make sure that you build up a little bit more of the underbody, so you get a little bit more volume. Okay, and then you just spin. And because these are long fibers, you have to pluck these fibers out a couple of times when you do this dubbing loops. And now you can moist your fingers, and basically what you get is something that looks like a very long fibered hackle. And now you can just okay. And now when you're behind the bead, you can just tie it in and finish your fly. And with your dubbing needle you can then just really try to get those trapped fibers out. And now this obviously looks quite fluffy, but in the water against the stream it will be a lot more streamlined like that. And this is basically has been a very effective small streamer. So sometimes if I see suspect there's big trout and they don't like to take on my nymphs, I can try with something like this. And yeah, it's very simple, durable and effective, and that's how I like my flies to be.